I guess the first thing I would say is when you go up to somebody that's blind or low vision, try to always tell them who you are. It's not always that easy to put a person, even if you met him before, with a name, and especially if you haven't talked to the person in a while. We talk to a lot of different voices to remember, so it's always a big help to me if someone says their name. Maybe the next thing that comes up is people, you don't really need to talk loudly to someone with a disability. You don't need to shout. Most people with vision, low vision or blindness can hear just fine. So try to avoid really talking really loud to somebody. Another thing that could be very helpful is if offer to read information to them. If you have written information, you should offer to read that to the person low vision or blind. It always helps if you describe what you're doing to the person. If you're handing them paperwork to sign, handing them a clipboard, tell them, I'm going to hand you this. If you're getting information out of your briefcase or bag, you could tell them that. It always is helpful if you describe what you're doing to the person that's there. It's a big help if you make some type of noise, like tapping on the back of a chair if you want them to sit at that chair, or tapping on a clipboard if you're handing it to them, or tapping on a wall if you're trying to direct them over in that direction. Some type of noise like that is much bigger help. Using left and right can get really confusing. Usually I would say about half the time people get it wrong because they're facing you, so it's their left and your right. So it gets pretty difficult sometimes to try to figure that out. Another thing you can do is if you're in a person's home that's low vision or blind, they're used to their house, and so if you see a TV set that's over to the right or a sliding door that's over to the left, refer to that if you need them to move that way. Coffee tables in front of them. You might look around the environment and try to see landmarks that they would know and use those to give them directions instead of saying left or right. We do some training with bus drivers, and instead of the bus driver telling you to sit on the left side or the right side, it's actually much easier if you say sit on the driver's side or sit on the passenger side of the bus. Then there's no confusion about if they're facing it or you're facing it. So using those kind of cues is actually a lot more helpful. Same thing with going through a door. Usually it's two people, and one will be to the right and one will be to the left. So if the door opens on the blind person's side, say it's opening on your side or it's opening up on my side, because you'll be standing next to them. Another thing with doors is don't open the door halfway open. Don't open the door halfway. Either open it all the way or leave it shut and tap on it so the person can find the door and open it themselves. But if you open it halfway, you're just asking for them to run right into the middle of it. Another thing that's really helpful is if you want to guide somebody, what you want to do is let the blind person take your elbow or the middle of your arm or touch your shoulder, and they will follow you. That's what they're used to. That's how to do it. Don't take the blind person's arm, because when you take the blind person's arm, then you're making them guide the sighted person. If you need something signed, there's what they call a writing guide. It's very simple. It's a little square, and there's a slot cut out of it, and that the person knows to sign in there. So it makes it a lot easier for the person to actually sign documents. If you don't have one of these signature cards, you could always just use a business card if you have it, and let the person sign across the top edge, or an envelope folded in half. Anything that you can, that has an edge that the person can feel, you can put that down where they need to sign, and it makes it much easier to have a person sign documents.